Cross-chain bridges have lost billions of dollars to hacks, so it's safe to say that there is a massive security problem here. But Hyperbridge, our sponsor for this video, claims to have a new approach to blockchain interoperability that could fix this issue and make things possible with bridges that haven't been done before. So let's break down how it works and why it's different from anything else out there. What exactly is Hyperbridge? Hyperbridge is a new kind of cross-chain bridge that lets blockchains communicate without relying on centralized third parties. Most existing bridges use multi-sig committees, basically small groups of people or entities that approve cross-chain transactions. The issue here is that if they get hacked, then it's game over. This is the exact reason why so many cross-chain bridges have lost billions of dollars. Hyperbridge takes a completely different approach. Instead of relying on trusted middlemen, it uses on-chain verification to ensure every transaction is cryptographically proven and secure. It's built on Polkadot's security, eliminating the single point of failure that multi-sig committees create. Their goal is to build the most secure and scalable interoperability layer where blockchains can interact seamlessly and trustlessly. And that's what the co-founders have been working to achieve. Sheon Lanlege, who previously worked with Parity Technologies, the team behind Polkadot, and a former developer of Ethereum, and blockchain engineer David Salami. To actualize their vision, they already raised about $5 million in funding, with backing from Polkadot, the Web3 Foundation, and Skytail Digital. The project's mainnet went live in November last year, and it's already integrated with over 11 major blockchains, including Ethereum, BNB Chain, Optimism, Arbitrum, Base, and Gnosis. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of how it actually works. Hyperbridge calls itself an interoperability coprocessor because it carries out the heavy-duty checks needed to confirm whether a transaction from one chain is genuinely valid before it ever touches another chain. Instead of making every blockchain handle these complex verifications on its own, Hyperbridge processes them separately in a dedicated Polkadot-based environment, reducing the burden on both the source and destination chains. By building on Polkadot and using it as a consensus layer, Hyperbridge inherits a high level of security without having to bootstrap its own validator set, which would be more vulnerable in its early stages. This integration allows Hyperbridge to tap into Polkadot's beefy proofs, a mechanism that confirms when a block is finalized across all Polkadot parachains. Beefy generates cryptographic proofs that act as a seal of approval, confirming that a transaction has been permanently recorded and cannot be reversed. Now, traditional bridges don't have this level of security. They typically rely on external validators or multi-signature committees to approve transactions, which introduces trust issues and centralization risks. For example, if someone sends tokens from Ethereum to BNB Chain, Hyperbridge doesn't need to trust a third party to verify that the transaction happened. It can verify directly on Polkadot that the Ethereum transaction was finalized. And if needed, Hyperbridge can even re-execute transactions inside Polkadot, checking them as if it were a full node to catch any inconsistencies or fraudulent activity. Once a cross-chain transaction is confirmed, relayers take over to deliver the message to the destination chain, where Hyperbridge will process it to complete the transfer. However, relayers must submit cryptographic state proofs showing that the request was both initiated on the source chain and successfully executed on the destination chain. And this guarantees that relayers can't fake deliveries or claim fees for incomplete transactions. Now, in traditional bridges, relayers are permissioned, meaning only a small group can participate. But Hyperbridge lets anyone become a relayer, and this removes reliance on a small, trusted group and makes the system more decentralized and resistant to manipulation. To support multiple blockchains, Hyperbridge scales dynamically as more chains connect. It spreads out the verification process across different Polkadot parachains, also known as cores. Each one focuses on a specific task: checking consensus, validating state proofs, or re-executing transactions. Once everything is verified, Hyperbridge bundles them into a single proof, so any connected chain can verify it cheaply without having to redo the entire verification process. To see Hyperbridge in action, go to hyperbridge.network, click Launch App in the top right corner, and this opens up Hyperbridge's Gateway Token Bridge, and here you can start the bridging process. The first step is to connect your wallet. Hyperbridge supports multiple popular wallets, including MetaMask and Brave Wallet, and Polkadot wallets like Talisman. Once you've connected, select your source and destination chains. As you enter the amount to bridge, the interface will automatically update to show at the bottom the estimated transaction fee and approximate transfer time. After you review all the details, click Transfer. Then the wallet will prompt you to approve the transaction. Once you confirm, Hyperbridge begins processing. The interface provides live updates showing when the transaction is executed on the source chain, when the cross-chain message is dispatched, and when the transaction is finalized on the destination chain. Once complete, the bridge tokens show up in your balance. Let's talk about the bridge token, the native asset powering Hyperbridge. So far, over 55 million bridge tokens have been sold in the initial relayer offering out of the allocated 100 million tokens. The first 50 million tokens came with a 50% bonus, but that allocation has already been claimed. So due to high demand, the IRO has been extended until February 28th, with a 15% bonus still available for the next 25 million tokens. In terms of token distribution, 35% is allocated to the treasury, 30% for token sales, 20% for the team vesting over 2 years, 10% for the foundation vesting over 3 years, and 5% for crowd loan rewards. For utility, Bridge works similarly to gas fees on other networks. It sets a minimum cost for transactions to prevent spam and congestion. Every cross-chain operation, whether moving assets or reading data, requires Bridge tokens for verification. Bridge is also used for storage queries, a unique Hyperbridge feature that allows dApps to directly access on-chain data across multiple networks. Instead of relying on centralized oracles, developers can query blockchain states trustlessly, with all queries paid for in Bridge tokens. Another major use case for Bridge is transaction prioritization. Hyperbridge introduces a new layer of MEV by allowing relayers to pay extra in Bridge to prioritize transactions. On top of that, token holders will also have governance rights, meaning they can vote on protocol changes, transaction fees, and future upgrades. Looking ahead, Hyperbridge is expanding its tech to support even more ecosystems, including Aptos, Sweep, Polygon, and Cosmos, and they're also working on an Intent Bridge, which will be faster and improve user experience. Now, we'll have to dive into intents in a future video, but it's essentially a UX approach that focuses on what a user wants to get done, while the nitty-gritty of how it gets done gets abstracted away. Further down the line, they plan to bridge Web 2 with Web 3, which they believe will unlock real-world applications for blockchains and crypto. And that wraps up this video. If you want to check out Hyperbridge's social media, test out the project, or explore the token sale, all the links are in the description below. And also, don't forget to let us know what you think in the comments. Bye.